Hi there! Welcome to the Gardens and Graveyard channel. My name is Charisma, and today we're meeting in the studio and we're going to transplant a bunch of cacti and succulents. I apologize about the lighting. It is so hard to film indoors when your camera setup is designed for outdoors. So I'm doing my best. I typically have lights on me and I'm usually on the other side of this table. But the window behind me was creating such backlighting that everything in front was in total shadow no matter how many lights I put on. So things are just a little weird in the winter time when we're trying to film indoors, but 'tis the season. We are here and I have a lot of plants to get through in the next month. And so I thought I would just do all of my cacti and succulents today. So we're going to start with this little collection. These are all little ones that I have. And then I have a handful of Christmas cacti, which are, I think they're technically a succulent and they're called a cactus, whatever. That we'll bring in next. So let's go through what I have on the table and we could talk about what we're going to do and get into it. So the first thing I have is this beautiful vintage glass pitcher filled with autumn joy sedum. And the reason that I have this is because I brought a bunch of autumn joy sedum in to dry their flowers and their seed heads, right? So I did that. I have a huge collection of them. They're beautiful. They dried really well. But I had a handful of them sprout. And they were not in any water. They were just like drying in this pitcher. And so once I saw that they were all sprouting, I went ahead and put a tiny bit of water on the bottom. And now you can see all those little sprouts have tiny baby roots. So I would like to kind of play with those in a couple of different ways and see if I can get them growing for more places in the garden because I absolutely love them. I have a ton outside, so if they don't work out, they don't work out. But I just thought it was really interesting that they started doing this inside. So I wanted to play with that a little bit. Probably do that at the end. So the next thing that I have is this little guy. It is a Nematanthus, I don't know, it says it's Shady Lady Heidi, maybe? And it's getting leggy. And so all I want to do with this is pinch it back to make it bushy, and then I'm just going to put the pieces that I pinch back directly back into the soil and hope that it roots itself. I've never grown these. I think this is a goldfish plant. But I do feel like they're getting kind of leggy and stretched out, probably from they need a little bit more sun than they were getting, so I'm going to move the location and hope that they get a little bit more sun. So we'll do that. This is a Sansevieria, which needs to be dusted. There's 3 little plants in here, and it's just time. They're just barely starting to put some growth out the bottom, but they're kind of bulgy, and they've been in this container for a couple of years. I just want to get them in a bigger container. This is also a type of Sansevieria, and I just want to get her in a little bit bigger of a pot. They like to be a little bit root bound, so I don't like to go up a lot in size, but I do feel like there's a lot of new growth on here, and I think she'll be happier in a bump up. This one here also has a Sansevieria. This came from a mother plant. I'm going to actually take it out and pop it into the mother plant. There's a hole missing in that pot, so I'm just going to take this one out and pop it in there. Then I have this Haworthia that I want to put into a bigger container. And then I have some fun little Halloween leftovers. So another Haworthia and this cute little skull, but it's time to move her out. So I'm going to put her in a bigger pot. And then these are the only 2 cacti that I own. And I'm not, like, I'm not a cacti person. So I just thought they were adorable in the bubbling cauldron. I have a feeling getting that fluff, it's like batting material, like pillow batting material. I have a feeling that's going to be kind of a pain to get off of there. But I've had these for 2 years, and I just feel like maybe they need to get bumped up. So I actually want to put them in this container once these plants are out. So there we go. That's what we're doing today. I'm going to do, obviously these have to be later because I need this hot. I have a couple of tools. I have this iced teaspoon, which works great to get down inside of small pots and loosen the soil. I also have these little baby tongs to help me handle the really pokey cactus without the spines like hurting me or getting stuck in my skin. So with this pot, I'm gonna actually leave it in this container. This is the decorative container. I'm gonna pull this out and just look underneath and make sure everything looks good. Yeah, it's still pretty loose in there. So all I want to do with this is cut it back to make it bushy, and my pruners are over there. All my tools are on this side because of the lighting business. Anyway, okay, so I just want to cut these back. So I'm going to just go right above a leaf node like this. I also think I'm going to pinch, see how far apart these leaves are compared to these leaves? That tells me they've been stretching to the sun. So I'm going to pinch this off right here. And then I have this little bit. I'm going to take off the lower 2 leaves like this. And then now I have a little stem right there. And I'm just going to pop it into the soil like that. And I'm going to do the same with this, except on this one, well, maybe that'll be fine. This one will have a little bit more stem that I can bury. And we'll just, and we just want to make sure that the soil is pushed down around that stem. You can see how this one's kind of just coming out of the pot, stretching. Again, I'm just gonna strip off those lower leaves and pop it right back into the soil, right up to the first set of leaves that I left on there. This one is doing okay, still pretty close with the leaf. There's not a lot of stem in between them, so I'm going to leave that one alone. This one is stretching a little bit, so I'm going to take that one off here. Again, lower leaves, pop this down in the soil. Let's find a spot. All right, and that's all I'm going to do with that, and then I have a little bit of water. I have a little bit of water with fertilizer in it, in this one, and this is just an all-purpose fertilizer. I just want to get the roots or the stems and the soil settled around the stems. So that the stems are touching soil on every part. There's no air pockets. And then we are done with this little guy. And I'm actually going to put it right behind the camera in the window. All right, so let's go ahead and take care of this Sansevieria. which we're just gonna bump up in size. And I think this container is a little bit big and it was holding this up, so I'm gonna get a different drip tray, but I think I can still use this decorative container for the next size up. It's also the same size. It's the next size up, but that's too tall. All right, well, this has been my biggest dilemma this planting season, this house plant planting season, is all my plants are bumping up in size and I don't have all the decorative containers that I need to make them beautiful, but it's fine. At least they're gonna be healthy in healthy soil. So that is the most important thing, I think. So my Sansevieria can take a little bit more moisture than other succulents, and they do like to dry out a lot. So what I like to do is actually, I use a succulent and cactus mix in my trusty mixing bowl. And I want to add a little all-purpose potting soil. And then I'll mix that all up. All right, I need more water. So I'll be right back. All right, let's go ahead and pre-moisten the soil a little bit. Actually, when I'm working with succulent and cactus mix, I really do prefer to use gloves because there's a lot of like bark in it and it tends to get a little splintery, and they do that so that there's lots of drainage, which is great, except that it's not comfortable on the hands. So I want to get that soil nice and moist and mixed up with the potting soil, and then we'll just fill this container up. And we're just gonna pop all these out. I could divide these and create 3 individual plants if I wanted. They would come apart really easy. So see, you just pop off like that, or you can cut them, but they have roots. So I'm gonna plant, because they were so close together, I just kind of want to make them even in this pot. And I'm just going to put one after the edge here. Take this little one, put it on the edge over here. And take this little one. I want to make sure all the roots get down inside the soil. I'm just making sure that There's soil around all of the crowns of the plant, and there's about an inch lip so that when it gets watered, no water spills out. And now I feel like these can live in this pot for a good long time because those roots weren't really significant. And I just want to dust off the leaves. It's all healthy. Oof. It got so dirty. This one lives by a window that gets opened a lot, so it tends to get a little more dusty than the rest of the plants. Okay. All right, so then I can just keep this old drip tray for now. We'll water it in just a bit, just to settle the roots into the soil. And then I'm going to have to find a container for her. All right, so now we can, well, this one's easy. We're just going to move this up a pot size. I think we're going to do this one. That's the same. Well, let's see. Just check on the root system and see if it's really needing to. Yeah, it's got a nice healthy root system. I'd like to move it up one size. Probably this one right here, which means we can use the container we just got rid of. Awesome. Okay. So again, with the Sansevieria, we still have a similar, the mix that we just used for the other one. So I'm just gonna fill this up. Make a little well. I move this out. I'm not going to disturb the roots because they're pretty loose. We just want to pop it right into its new home. And that is it. All right, so then I'm gonna do the same thing. This doesn't actually go all the way down, but it actually lifts this up a little bit. I don't know if that's helpful or not. We just need new drip trays. We need new containers. We need all new things. Wonder if this would work in here. I kind of like that better. Let's do that. All right, again, we're just gonna give this guy a little water for around our roots. And there we go. This doesn't quite fit into this container, but it's better than nothing. All right, now we can move on to our Haworthia. And these really are very succulent-like, so we're just gonna use straight succulent mix. Succulent and cactus mix in here. And just pre-moisten it a bit. Mix it up. Get all that soil moist. Doesn't have to be sopping wet. Just want to get some moisture in there. This is important when you have really dry soil, because what can happen is the soil will be so dry, it'll be hydrophobic. And then when you put a plant in there that has moist soil around its root ball, the dry soil will suck and leach all that moisture into itself. So you don't want the soil taking the moisture away from the plant. All right, we're gonna just reuse this pot. How many times I've reused this pot? What's this for? No idea, it just says foliage. All right, we're gonna make a little well here. And then we're gonna see what happens with this guy. Because I've never taken it out before. We're just gonna use this little spoon and try to pull it out. Okay, good. It's in the tiniest little pot. So cute. My goodness, look at that. That is so stinking cute. All right. I'm gonna pull all this moss off of there around the edge of this poor little plant that's super dry because it's hard to get it's hard to keep it watered in that small of a container. So then we're just gonna have the top of it at the top of this. We don't want to bury the crown. We want to make sure that it's at the same level. The crown is at the same level in the new pot as it was in the old pot. So there we go. Right. Okay, it's exciting. It's gonna have plenty of room to grow now. And I think, does it fit in there? Not really. Again, with the pots being too big for these containers. Okay. Well, we're gonna live with it. It's gonna be fine. All right. I have to go around and take inventory of all the new decorative containers I need to buy. But in all honesty, it just, like, these plants need to be transplanted so badly. It's so much more important to take care of the health of the plant than it is to have a pretty container. Okay. Great. This is gonna work just fine. I'm gonna do this Halvordia next. All right, and this one, goodness. This one is in a bit of a mixed container. There's a Christmas cacti and a Sansevieria, two different kinds of Sansevieria in here. So I'm just gonna be careful pulling it out and teasing its roots out. So it's just this plant's roots. For some reason it was going sideways instead of down. I don't know what the deal is. Anyhow, it's got a little pup coming up, a couple of little pups, so it's happy enough. I'm just gonna tuck these roots right back down into the soil there. right. Looks pretty good. You could see it even had a little flower recently. I could just pop that off of there. It's dead and done. And we're just gonna pop this right in there. I also don't have any drip trays for this size of container, so I'm gonna need to pick up a stack of drip trays of different sizes. But there you go. Excellent. All right, and then look, I need to buy another succulent for this one. All right, let's see. Let's put this teeny tiny Christmas cactus in this teeny tiny pot, shall we? That is a cutting from my favorite cactus that has the most beautiful white and hot pink bloom. I've never seen it before. I bought the one I have, and I haven't seen one since. So trying to get another one or two. I've had friends ask me for it and everything. They're just like, what is this beautiful thing? So hopefully I could get it to, I mean, it's been growing in there for a year, so it's happy enough, but yeah, hopefully we can transplant it too and let it, see, it's holding on to some roots, which is great. Just pop it right in there. And we'll just reuse this fun little skull. Or give her some pretty. It's like she has little bangs. Okay. All right, so now we are going to take this Sansevieria. We have two different kinds. I'm going to take the rock out. And you can see what I had done is I planted this one, and I just put the leaf, cut the leaf off, stuck it in some soil, it grew some roots, and then it created these. But it reverted to the original kind, opposed to the yellow stripe on there, which I think is really interesting. So this one has some leaves, this one are leaves, roots, and this one has roots. So we're just gonna pop these two in their appropriate plants. I have a container full of this style of Sansevieria with the yellow stripe and a container full of the original Sansevieria. So we're just gonna put them in with those other plants and let them grow. We'll do that in a couple of minutes. So I'm just gonna leave those in here for a moment. And then we are going to tackle these cacti. Okay. So I want to make sure that this is just straight cactus succulent type mix. So I'm just gonna get rid of this, all of this, whatever it is. Just get rid of it. Whatever. Anyhow. Alright, starting fresh. Just the cactus. It's dusty. I'll pre-moisten it. right. All right. So I don't know if you can tell how much more chunky this type of potting mix is, but it's chunky. All right. So now here we go. This little cauldron comes out of the spider legs pretty easy. Oh, look at that. Oh. See, those are not rooted in. So I'm just like, I'm not going to even worry about them, I don't think. Does this say what kind it is? Maybe. I'm going to carefully throw these away. And all right, this one also has one of those teeny tiny containers. Let's see if I can just make a little well here for it and scoop it out with my spoon. And then just pop it right there. And make sure there's plenty of soil down around the root ball. Okay. There we go. All right, cool, I guess. Oh. I mean, that's adorable, but I guess I need teeny tiny plants now. Okay, now this one, let's see. This little guy had this, it says arachnid spell, but I think that's what these little cauldron spiders arachnid spell. Let's see if it says. Oh, there's a QR code. This says, this planter combines creepy daddy long legs with a bubbling witch's cauldron to brew an enchanted cactus that will cast its spell on Halloween decor. Oh my goodness. Okay, it's really, I don't know. I guess I'll try scanning the QR code and seeing if it says anything. I don't know. Same with this one, I think. Same. All right. Silly. How do you stack these things? Oh, good, they stack. Wonderful. Okay. All right, so then I'm going to take the bubbling out of the cauldron without touching the spines on the cacti. So not working very good. Okay, here we go. Get it down in between. Okay. Try to gently, there we go. That's the same sticker in there. Right. All right, same kind of deal, just take off all the fuzziness that I can. And then I'm just gonna make a little space back here for it to live. Right, I did just water these yesterday morning, so they're pretty moist. So I don't think I'm gonna water them in. Just gonna try to pack the soil down around them and let things kind of dry out, and then I'll make sure they get watered. Possibly I could have separated these. I don't really know. I don't know enough about succulents. If you know, or cacti rather, if you know if I could have separated these, let me know in the comments below. I'd love to know for the next time. So we just have these little guys in this container. I'll clean them up. Yeah. So I have a okay, excellent. So now I'm gonna go ahead and place these guys around where they are going to live, and then we will bring all of our Christmas cactus in and transplant those. So these are gonna go that window, that window. Alright, after taking another look at my Christmas cactuses, I think I'm going to wait one more year before I do any transplanting for them. I also need to obtain some pots that would be appropriate for them because they seem to really thrive in shallow pots. They're definitely starting to fill their pots out, but they're not crowded yet, and they've been blooming all winter. So I have there's different varieties of them. There's the Thanksgiving, there's the Easter, and there's the Christmas. And my cactuses seem to bloom, all of them will bloom around Halloween. One blooms at Thanksgiving, two bloom at Christmas, a couple bloom at Valentine's, and then Easter, like March, April. They're just like always in this reblooming cycle. So I have, what is there, five? I have five full-sized cactuses, Christmas cactus or zygote. And yeah, so I'm not gonna mess with that. I was just thinking, since I'm doing all the succulents, let's look at all the succulents, but they don't need to be messed with. So the next thing I'm going to do, and the last thing I'm going to do for this video, is play with these Autumn Joy sticks. So I looked it up, and apparently layering is not something that you would typically do, but I want to try it, because why not? So I have this kind of shallow bowl that's typically a hanging basket, and it has these metal pieces on there that I'm not going to mess with trying to take off. Maybe we'll hang it up, maybe we won't. I don't expect these sedums to stay in this pot for very long. I just want to see if I can get them up and going. So I ran outside and I grabbed this along with some other pots so that I can continue working on my houseplants here over the next couple of weeks. All right, so I had that soil left over from one of those pots. I'm not worried about having sterile soil or anything like that. We just want some growing medium happening here. So we've got that and a little more of this. We'll use the end of that bag. And we do want it to be a little bit moist. And probably want to put something under it so it doesn't spill everywhere. Okay. All right, then, yeah. I think I'm gonna also add in a little bit of potting soil because I don't know that it needs cactus soil so much. Succulent cactus soil. I mean, in the garden, I don't do anything special for them. I just put them in the ground. So, but I do think since they're so tender, having something that holds a little bit more moisture would be helpful. So I just have some raised bed potting mix here. All right, so just tip it so you can see what I'm doing. Actually, I probably don't need this at this point. All right, so what I want to do here is I've got these. I'm going to pick the side that has the least amount on the bottom, and then I'm just going to pop those off and maybe just stick them on the sides. Maybe they'll grow, maybe they won't. They have little air roots, so may as well put them in some soil and see what they do. And then cut off this end that is yucky. All right, and now what I want to do is just sort of lay this down like this. Just gonna put a tiny bit of soil around the roots that are coming up, trying not to cover the foliage. Okay, I'm just gonna try doing that with all of these. Just picking the side. If they're really puny, I don't need to, like this one's pretty dried out. I'm not gonna worry about that. This one looks good, but there really isn't any on the bottom. Just take off the pieces that aren't strong. These things are actually hollow in there, so it's really interesting that they're attempting to grow at all. And see, this one has some roots coming right off of it, so I think I'll just take off the pieces that aren't strong here. Woo. I can even try the shorter pieces, maybe just see what happens like that. It's all an experiment. There's some roots coming out of the bottom of that one. Okay. Oh, look at that. These almost look like they were trying to flower right there. Just gonna cut them back. Stick them in some soil. Okay. Okay. Again, it's getting a little soil around the root ball. Okay, well, we're gonna see. We're gonna see what happens. There you go. I just layered most of them. I put a couple upright. I put a few just the singles around the edges, and then a couple with like multi branches to the side, and then the rest of them I just layered down like this, just to see what would happen. I mean, if they start growing in the vase, maybe they'll start growing in this. They're starting to look a little puny in the vase. They've been in the vase maybe 2 months, and they're starting to look a little bit puny and stressed, and like they're putting off lots of roots. I think they're trying to like find somewhere to land. So my hope is that by doing this, I'm giving it some place to land and they'll take off. I'm actually going to put this in my greenhouse, get it out of the warmth of the house and just let it kind of be in a little bit of protection in the greenhouse without it being, without it being babied, because they are still pretty young and it's getting to be freezing temperatures outside. I just want to give it a little bit of protection and then we'll just see how it goes. So I'll keep you all updated on this little experiment, and I appreciate you hanging out with me while we transplanted succulents and cacti, and I hope that you are celebrating your life, and we'll see you in the next video. Bye. Just a couple of things that I didn't mention as I was doing the project and thought about as I was cleaning up. I do not top dress or put moss or rock or anything around my succulents and my cacti because I'm not the best at growing them, and I want to clearly see the soil and see how the soil is looking, whether it is dry or moist. I mean, I still put my fingers in the soil, but I just, we live in a very humid environment, and things around the bottom of plants, whether it's rock or moss, tends to create more humidity around the plant, and I cannot afford to add more moisture to succulents and cactus. So that is why I don't top dress them. Whereas you will normally see me adding moss or rock to the top of the soil and other plants that I have around the house. So I wanted to mention that, and I also wanted to mention that I don't have any special fertilizer for my cactus, because I literally have 2 cactus plants, right? But or for my succulents, I just use the organic grow. And what I typically do for those plants is I use my fertilizer on all my house plants like once a month usually, and then when I'm on my last bucket and there's just like a little bit of water with the fertilizer in it, I then fill the bucket with water so it's super diluted, and that's what I water the succulents and cacti with the exception of the Christmas cactuses, which get full strength fertilizer. So I just wanted to mention those couple of little details that I missed as I was doing our little project today.